Hello, scumbags. This is the vote of no confidence, and I am Rob McDonald, and with
Andrew Fantasia.
sup, scumbags. So yeah, we are back for vote of no confidence. It's time to decide what side do we have, and what topic are we going with this time, Andrew?
Well, we have been given a very unenviable topic to argue because James's coin decided that we should fight over who is the better character, I guess, or the better main protagonist, Luke or Rey.
Luke or Ray. It's a side that I feel like a lot of new fans are like pulling to one side, and the old fans it's kind of pulling people apart a little bit. So I fell on the side of Ray, and Andrew, if you fell on the side of.
I fell on the side of Luke. I feel like there's going to be a lot of Z snapping in this video. Now, I actually had a lot of trouble coming up with points just because I felt like everything I could say about Luke to be like, oh, he's better than Rey because of XYZ, I feel like it could have been so easily countered just by you simply saying, well, we don't know about Rey yet. We only got one movie of her. We have to give her a chance, which is a completely fair argument because really we only got one movie of her. We don't even have comics of her, nothing. It's literally just a movie and that's it. So what I tried to do was I tried to keep my points specific to just A New Hope Luke, as if nothing else existed, just so that I could kind of even the playing field a little bit, right? You know, just like a one movie Luke versus a one movie Rey. I feel like that'll be better to, it'll give us more to chew on, if that makes sense.
Well, maybe we'll readdress this vote of no confidence after episode 9. That might be the best part.
Yeah. Episode A, Palpatine reveals her true colors.
Exactly. And then Electric Boogaloo with an extra one. So yeah, I'm going to start off with Rey here then in this situation. Rey, obviously the main thing I think I'm going to start off with is that you got Luke as he's the main protagonist of A New Hope, yet in a lot of ways, a lot of things that people talk about Luke in that movie was that he's whiny. Mark Hamill didn't portray him very well. Like pretty much you had Han Solo, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher's Princess Leia that kind of like stole the movie from him. Like they took over. They had like the best banter. They had the best lines, more or less. You know, Luke was kind of like, you know, obviously the main protagonist, but he in a lot of ways was kind of like blah. Like he wasn't the greatest character in that movie. Like you had the great like journey for him and whatnot. It's just that he wasn't stealing scenes. You know, with Rey, you really got like a really astounding performance from Daisy Ridley in Force Awakens. Like she was already like pulling people out, like being like, who's this girl? You got to look up her IMDb page. She's like, oh, she was pretty much just doing little like sitcoms and dramatic British television shows. That's about it. And she really won people over. It was like in a world now where it's like a post Wonder Woman world and all this type of stuff. You got this really strong female character in Star Wars that really just pulled everybody together. She's the main protagonist. She was portrayed really well. She got a good through line within Force Awakens. And most of all, I mean, the number one thing that they think about Mark Hamill's Luke is she wasn't whiny. She was not a whiny little one like Mark Hamill was in A New Hope.
Yeah, she definitely did not bring the wine. She was very stalwart. Well, to that point, let's pretend for a second that I am a robber. Like I'm just some bad dude who skulks around town and robs people and like beats them up. And let's say that I'm...
You're not?
Well, as far as we know.
Oh, okay.
Let's say that I'm hanging out in this dark alley, and I look at one end of the alley and I see Luke Skywalker, and I look at the other end of the alley and I see Rey. And I think, okay, here's two potential victims. Which one am I gonna go after? Who am I gonna beat up and steal their money? And the answer is Luke, but that is to his benefit. Okay, like I girl is messed me up. She's got that staff. She's scrappy. Like I've seen what she can do. She's gonna knock my teeth out, and I'm gonna be bleeding out in the sewer. And Luke is a farm boy. Luke grew up on a tough planet, yeah, but it wasn't as tough as Jakku, not by a long shot. I mean, Rey was literally scrounging to live to eat every single day. Luke was farming. And at the end of the day, me choosing him as my preferred victim is a testament to just how great a hero he is, because when I watch A New Hope and I see Luke and I see how naive he is and how whiny he is, and I see him looking up at the sky and checking out the sunset and thinking, boy, I just want to fly my skyhopper around and bullseye womp rats. And as soon as he gets on the Falcon, it's still not any better. He's panicking and he's seeing the TIE fighters come after him. He's like, what's that flashing? And he's like a little kid. That to me tells me that the arc I'm going to be taken on, the journey that this story is going to take me on, because I'm just looking at it from A New Hope, but I know there will be more. So knowing that this is the first of a trilogy, I'm more interested to find out how this guy, this wimpy, whiny little kid, how is he going to topple Darth Vader and this mighty empire? When I look at Rey, I think, oh yeah, the First Order is screwed. They don't she's gonna march right in there. She's gonna put her stick in Snoke's nose and be like, "Oi, asshole!" and she's gonna flip him over. Luke, I don't see him being able to do any of that. I mean, Luke would probably take one look at Darth Vader and piss his pants. So to me, it's so much more interesting. As a storyteller myself, I like the idea of looking at this guy. It's like, okay, this is going to be your hero. This is the guy who's going to take you on this journey through 3 movies, and by the end of it all, it's up to him to save the day. I am so much more interested in finding out how is this guy going to do all that. And it's, we all love underdog stories. I mean, look at another great example, Frodo Baggins. All those guys on the Fellowship of the Ring who are these tough people, but it's Frodo, this small guy who can't even take his sword out of its sheath without freaking out and dropping it. He's going to topple Sauron? Him? That to me, I mean, every time Frodo was on the screen, I'm like, yes. Every time Aragorn was on the screen, I'm like, nah, I know Aragorn's a good fighter. He's not going to die. I'm not worried about him. I'm worried about Luke. And that to me raises the stakes so much more.
No, it's a good point. I mean, I would kind of fight the part of if you just saw the two of them, right? It's one thing when you see Rey in action, she can do this stuff, but when you just see Rey, she's a 100-pound girl. You can't tell just from looking at her that she's just this unbelievable fighter, and you could probably kick both of our asses at the same time. But yeah, it's a notable thing where it's you get to see the full journey from between those two. But with Rey, I think we're gonna get that at some point. There's a whole rumor about in this movie that we're gonna get our first flashbacks in a Star Wars movie, right? With this movie, we're actually gonna get that part. So maybe along with that, we're gonna. What's that?
Episode 8?
With episode 8, yes. Gotcha. So yeah, that's the rumor. Again, it has not been confirmed yet, but we could very well see, the beginnings as to, maybe how Rey wound up exactly on that planet. We got the semi vision of it all. So maybe we're gonna get the very beginning as to how she first had to survive on this planet. I think we're gonna get, if we're not gonna get that in this movie, we're gonna get that in a comic book or a book at some point. Obviously, we're not getting it now because they're still holding the cards for Rey close to the vest, right? They're keeping her backstory and whatnot hidden from the public, because for obvious reasons. It's gonna be because good old Watto is her father, of course. So there's plenty to hide about that character in terms of her there. But with Rey herself as a character up against Luke, putting her up side by side again, Luke has obviously the bigger story within that one movie, but at the same time, the whole point of Rey was to just establish, aside from Leia, really the first big kick-ass character, and she's the main protagonist in this movie, right? So the reason to show her to being so strong is to get that journey where it's okay, she's embraced like her arc in that movie was from the point from when Maz Kanata showed up, was that she wanted to push away this type of stuff. All she wanted to really do was go back to Jakku and wait for her family to come back. Meanwhile, it's like, hey, she can do these amazing things, and she should embrace that part of it, as in just embracing the Force and going to ultimately, of course, possibly train with Luke on in episode 8. And so that's the real through story. It's not exactly the same as Luke, but that's the story that they pushed on and highlighted for people, because again, Leia is really the only real kick-ass female character that we've really gotten in these Star Wars movies.
Well, her and that six-breasted dancer in Jabba's palace.
Of course, yes.
Well, first of all, if Watto was Rey's father, I would be so on board with that. I would just a whole movie about him like trying to get it on with some human female somewhere. You know, hey baby, once you go blue.
That's gonna be our first live action Star Wars show. That's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be Watto hanging out with like Udi Mandrell as flatmates in like on Tatooine.
Watto, he's like that ad, the most interesting man in the world. It's just Watto like at a table.
Yes, exactly. Except he's not. He's drinking Tres Equis.
Yeah.
Tres Equis. No copyright infringement.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, Luke and Rey are both heroes, but as we know from everybody's favorite comic book heroes, Batman and Spider-Man, a hero is only as good as their villains. That's why Batman and Spider-Man are so damn successful, because they have, I mean, let's face it, they have the best villains in comics. They do. I mean, I love Wonder Woman. I could have told you the names of maybe 2 of her villains before I saw the movie, and one of them was the guy in that movie. So it's all about, I mean, the villains really make our heroes. And when you take a look at episode 4 and episode 7 of the villains that these heroes have to face, again, the gap is such a wide one. Here's Luke, this whiny kid who's just like, what's that flashing? And he's so in over his head. And who is like antagonizing him throughout this whole thing? The most friggin' scary ass MFer in the galaxy, Darth Vader. Like this 7-foot tall monster who just kind of walks around, barely says a word, and then just like kills you with a thought. And on the flip side of that, here we have Rey, and here we have Kylo Ren. And Kylo Ren is a powerful Force user. I'm not going to undermine that, but Kylo Ren's only about 10 years older than Rey, and he's pretty scary with the mask on. Then once he takes off the mask, he's just some dude. He looks like the bass player in a Mumford & Sons cover band, for crying out loud. So when I look at the threat level, like Rey is this super competent person, and Kylo, skilled as he may be, is a hot mess. Like he's a mess. Whereas Luke is this person with all this potential and no idea where to begin using it, facing off against pretty much the most seasoned, powerful Force user in the galaxy. Those are the definition of crazy odds. And again, it's like I'm so much more interested in seeing how that story is going to play out. How is this little kid, what's that flashing? How's he going to defeat Darth Vader? When I look at Rey and Kylo, every scene that they're in, well, they have 3 scenes together in their movie. One on the jungle on Takodana, one when he's interrogating her, and then the third one when they fight. And in those 3 scenes, 2 out of the 3, Rey comes out on top. Luke has half a scene with Vader in A New Hope, but where they just see each other across the hangar right after Vader kills Obi-Wan. And just that look where Vader turns to him and Luke is like, holy shit. That tells me everything I need to know about the gap in skill between these 2 characters, and gets me all the more pumped because I know Luke has a long way to go before he's ready to take that dude on.
Oh, true. Luke did try to shoot shoot him, I guess, too, right? Like, obviously he was shooting those stormtroopers, but I'm sure he was trying to get a shot on him because obviously he was the one that killed Obi-Wan. But regardless, I don't like the classification that people are just taking with Kylo Ren, that he's just like, this emo like punk that's like, ready to play in Green Day or My Chemical Romance or something like that, right? Like, it's just it's true. Like, obviously he loses some intimidation when he does take off that mask for the first time, because it's like this whole time he was obviously doing some amazing things, like force wielding wise. Like the first time we ever saw anybody just stop a blaster bolt, like heading straight for him, like never seen that really before. That was pretty badass and pretty amazing. And yeah, just the fact that, obviously you get the bigger, like wider journey with Luke and Rey. Like, we've covered that already. But it's like with Kylo, he's going on his own journey at the same time. Like, the thing is, obviously the difference between Vader and Kylo as the main antagonists in both those films is that Darth Vader's already pretty much completed his journey, right? Like, he's gone through all that he had to. This is kind of like what may be described as Kylo's more like when Vader first put on the mask, like probably like, like whatnot, like what got out of that. What's that? Yeah, maybe a little bit after that, but kind of like similar to what was that book? The
Lords of the Sith?
Lords of the Sith, exactly. Yeah, more similar to that, where he's like considering, like, he's not really considering going back to the light side, but he's like actually considering killing Palpatine and whatnot. Like, spoiler, if you've not read the book, go to a store right now and treat yourself and just buy it. It's really good. But anyway, it's more like that. Like, we both the antagonists are in very different paths in their career. Like, I could see Kylo becoming where Darth Vader is in A New Hope, maybe by like episode 9, or maybe even episode 8 at some point. Like, he'll become like that, where he's just completely embraced the dark side, and he's just going to be that badass guy that's just like, hey, now Rey has to catch up to him because of what Snoke has taught him. So ultimately, with Rey, that was just the through line for her, just to establish this really powerful, really strong female character and push her to beyond. Because the thing is, again, Daisy Ridley and Mark Hamill, I think Daisy Ridley was a step above Mark Hamill in that first movie. The characters as a whole, like in terms of likability, like Luke kind of got the first movie stolen from him, from both Han Solo and Leia, because even though that was his story that you were pretty much following in that movie, they were the characters that people were like going towards, and like the colorful characters. And Darth Vader stole the movie from Luke as well, where it was like, oh my God, there's Darth Vader, there's the badass villain. But Rey, like, she was up to par. Like, she came to play in that movie. Like, it was like, a lot of people can like Poe, a lot of people like Finn, but it's really like all like a through line. Like, people love. My mom loves Rey. Like, she refused to see Rogue One in theater just because she wanted more Rey. She's like, no, I don't want to see Rogue One. It was before she kept going like, oh, but before I know it, there's gonna be a Rogue 2 and a Rogue 3 and all that stuff. It's like, all I care about is Rey, and that's the beauty of these new fans that Rey as a character has brought in, where it's just like, hey, this is my Star Wars movie, and Rey is my big protagonist now. Like there's so many people that almost like Rey more than Luke, more than Han, more than a lot of characters that were there. So that's just a testament to Daisy Ridley and the character of Rey that they wrote. And obviously the most brilliant thing about it could be that we still don't have, like, the entire, we've got like a little section of like the puzzle piece. There's so much more to be explored, and so much, it's a testament to Lucasfilm, so much more money to be made with Rey. So yeah, that's my point. What else you got there, Andrew?
Well, you're right. Rey is definitely a gold mine.
Yes.
Damn, I wish I could have like a piece of that money.
Well, don't we all, right?
Well, if I have, at the end of the day, if you told me that episode 4 Luke and episode 7 Rey were going to get into a Jedi duel,
I don't like Luke's chances.
A tight duel But at the end of the day, my money's on Luke Skywalker, because here's the thing about the way they use the Force in their respective movies. Luke's focus when using the Force is a lot stronger than Rey's. The thing about Rey is whenever she uses the Force in The Force Awakens, Rey is using the Force reactively. Like she fumbles, she's desperately trying to do that mind trick, and then she pushes back against Kylo when he, like on both times when he's fighting her and when he's interrogating her, she like pushes him back with the Force with her mind. So he's trying to get all up in her grill, and that's when she's like, no. Whereas Luke, I find in The New Hope, he's not reactive in the way he uses the Force. He's proactive. And what I mean by that is in the scant few times he uses the Force in A New Hope, first of all, he forces himself to concentrate when he's blocking the training remote. And then he willingly shuts off his targeting computer so that he can guide his proton torpedoes where they got to go. This was all, it wasn't a matter of like a life or death situation where he's reacting to things. Luke is just like, okay, I could do something else, but no, I'm going to use the Force instead. And that to me signifies that his grasp on the Force was so much stronger than Rey's was in Episode 7, where she was powerful, but she was flailing wildly with the Force. She was like a kid trying to hit a piñata. Luke was like an expert darts thrower trying to hit the bullseye, or the 180 if you watch. So that to me signifies that if these two were to scrap using their Force powers, Luke would win at the end of the day, because the way he uses the Force is the way ultimately a true Jedi is supposed to.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Obviously, the big difference between those two situations, that you got Obi-Wan to guide Luke in that type of way, but really with Rey, her guiding force was Han, which is not even a Force user. He just really pointing out the what he's learned secondhand, really from Luke and whatnot. But regardless, this is the argument right here. It's Luke versus Rey, guys. So where do you guys lie on this side? Do you choose to take Luke from the later movies and apply that to him? We get so much more to learn with Rey. So that's the question: is that what do you guys think? What do you think is the greater character within their movies? Andrew?
Bonus question, Rob. Luke and Rey versus Mayweather and McGregor. Go.
Oh boy, do they get their lightsabers? Sure. Okay. Well, I don't like Mayweather. What both of them do?
All four of them have the lightsabers.
Oh, all four of them have lightsabers. Okay. So yeah, Mayweather could be the precise one with this lightsaber. No, regardless. What is that? When is that fight? August or something like that?
I don't know, but my money's on Luke.
Luke just winning the whole thing.
And then I don't know if it's one of those like wrestling tag things where like Luke is in the ring and then Rey's like, hey, and they like high five and she jumps in. That would be kind of cool too. But anyways, lots of fights happening now. It's up to you folks to decide who's going to win these fights. So comment away, tickle those keys, let us know what you think. And we'll see you next time on Vote of No Confidence. You are...
I am Ron McDonald, and just if you want to write down some double team maneuvers that Leia and Luke can have as tag team partners, that would be really cool.
Rey and Luke versus Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
Yeah.
But I would watch it. I'm Andrew Fantasia, and this is Vote of No Confidence on the Rebel Scum Podcast channel. We'll see you next time.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.